Welcome to another episode of Real Deal Investing. I'm Jerron Kelley, your co-host. I am a real estate investor as well as a real estate attorney. My co-host is Larry Mastropieri. Welcome, Larry.
Thanks.
Larry is a real estate broker as well as a real estate investor. Today, we're honored to have two awesome guys that I've gotten to know here the last couple months. We've got Jose Canas and we've got Tito Esteves.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys. First of all,
Absolutely.
Tito and Jose are wholesalers, and they are also, they do some real estate brokerage as well, and they also flip homes. So you've kind of got three prongs to your income stream that we're going to dive into in just a minute. But before we do that, kind of just want to get a sense of how you got into real estate and what your journey was to get there, and also how you two met and became partners.
Yep. Yeah. So I have a civil engineering background. I did that for 8 years.
So you're like Larry, who had an engineering background as well, and then stumbled into real estate. So yeah, maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Maybe we should do a poll of engineers. How many want to go into real estate?
How many decide to move? Yeah. So I kind of started doing it on the side while I was doing engineering, learning more about investing. And while doing deals, I stepped on Tito. It was a funny story. I was being an inspector on a project in Lake Worth when I was still an engineer.
That's right.
And I saw a property in distress, and I called it, but it was listed by somebody. So I still remember when he said, "Yeah, I'm Tito," and I said, "Who? Tito, like the vodka."
It's a trademark.
So
I see
it
that
stuck
phrase.
in my head. So the deal didn't work, and then I went to a networking event. And then I introduced him to people, and he's like, "I'm Tito, like the vodka." So that's like, you are the guy.
You are Tito's.
Yeah,
from
so
the
that's how
okay.
we met. We started doing some deals together, and then we took off. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Not bad.
And what about yourself?
I was
Tito?
firefighter EMT.
Okay.
Did that for 17 years.
Wow.
And that's a stressful taxi.
Was that here in South Florida?
Yeah,
or?
here in South Florida.
It's
Yeah,
really,
local.
I don't think people appreciate how difficult it is to be that, right?
Yeah, it is.
Education-wise too, right?
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
Education's wild.
Yeah, and you have to keep up on the education because
Yeah.
things in the medical field change.
Yeah.
The way homes and buildings are built, with materials change, so they burn hotter. So safety, education, constantly, just through the whole process. But
How long did you work as an EMT before you got into firefighting, or did you go
so they're
more or less direct?
back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Okay.
State of Florida, you have to do your EMT and medic and fire all in
Same
one.
time. Okay.
Yeah.
I just know sometimes people work in the EMT field and then they graduate into firefighting, but
I'd actually prefer if people did do that because it would give them a little more,
Experience,
patient contact time rather than just jumping in.
Got it.
That would be the better way. But, I did that 17 years. It was local here. And, there's one thing about, being a firefighter, an EMT is, when you get people drive by the station, we're not always not doing anything. We're trained and we're ready and we're waiting, but we have a lot of time on our hands.
Sure.
So I was able to kind of educate myself, YouTube University, we all know that, read some, real estate books, just kind of really get into it. And so I went the agent route first, just to kind of get my feet wet, learn it. And then I started going through, I listed that one property and he did call and we had a chat and the numbers didn't work out. I didn't think anything of it, And then we went to a networking event and ran into him and we just had some coffee and then we did some deals together and it kind of blossomed and grew from there.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Did you know fairly early on that you wanted to kind of tie your professional fates together? And
well, it worked. We flowed well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So before we even started a company together, we did 4 or 5 deals together.
Yeah.
Then we picked up a big portfolio in West Palm Beach on seller finance that we can talk about a little bit.
Yeah,
okay.
And after that, one said like, "Hey, listen, we got enough capital. We can just start something new."
Okay,
So.
good. Well, let's actually dive into that. So, kind of want to hear about the transition from. It sounds like you dabbled in being realtors, and you did some listings and maybe some buy side leads. And how long did that last for before you got into your first, let's say, portfolio deal or started doing some of the investing work?
I did the regular agent game for about 2 years or so.
Got it.
Just kind of paperwork, processing, meeting different individuals, the mortgage industry, just trying to understand as much as I could.
Yep.
And then I slowly kind of ventured in, and majority is when I kind of connected with Jose. We did some deals, and I slowly worked outside that. Now I still have my license, I still, but I just don't, act in that capacity.
It's not a it's not the focus of what you guys do.
Yeah, another
just
tool.
a tool.
That's it.
That's it. So good. So tell us about the first kind of investor deal or portfolio that you work with.
Yeah. So the first, I think it was Citrus, the first one.
Citrus was the first wholesale deal that we did.
It was a drug house, I guess.
Oh my God, that was a mess.
It was a mess. So
okay,
nobody wanted to buy
exciting.
that
Was anyone still in there? Oh, was there tenants living in there?
Well, there were dogs living inside. Like,
Lord.
There was needles. It was.
Oh wow! So it was literally a crack house. Yeah.
Literally.
Oh my gosh!
Like the city told us, hey, and the neighbors came. Thank you guys,
please,
for cleaning
this
this
up.
up.
Yeah. To thank us.
Awesome.
We sent 3 cleaning crews there, and they were like, "We're not cleaning.
We're not doing this. Yeah, literally, we're not touching.
Oh
this.
my God! You needed like a hazmat crew to come in for the needles and the wow.
It was bad.
But how did you find this first deal? Who owned it and who? How did you come across it?
Citrus came. It was a lead from another agent who told me, their mom or their brother's friend kind of deal down the line, and that's how I contacted them. And they didn't want to sell the property on the market because they were too embarrassed of how it looked, and they didn't want those photos blasted all over the place. They just said they want to make a quick, simple transaction. And I had reached out to Jose, and he had some buyers. So that's how we were able to kind of work that deal out, and it was just kind of given to me.
Awesome. Good. And you did the cleanup of it, or the buyers did that after you did a quick flip?
So we hired a crew. We kind of cleaned it up to make it look nice for the end buyer to come and pick it up. And then we offloaded to a flipper that we assigned it. I think it was like 27 grand we made.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So that was an assignment deal.
Yep.
Assignment deal. Yeah.
So for those people who are watching right now, kind of explain assignments and the steps of that for those people that have never been around that or don't understand that. What does that look like?
So essentially what it is we get into an agreement with the seller. We get them on the contract. And then while we have that period before we close, we sell the interest of that contract to an end buyer. Sometimes you want to double close, but typically when we assign, we just sell the interest, and then it's just one closing, and we get paid a fee
at the time of the closing
Correct.
on the HUD.
Closing, yeah.
So in that situation, the end buyer is going to know how much you're making, and they're okay with the fee. Yes. Typically, tell me if I'm correct here, but you might do a double closing when the fee is really large. If you're making a huge spread because you don't want the buyer to find out you're making $100,000 on a property, and they're gonna have a problem with that. Yeah. It's just a psychological thing some people can't get over, right? Is that you're making too much on them, and they feel that they're getting a bad deal, even though maybe they're still getting a good deal because you just got it at such a great price that you're able to make some very large spread. Yeah. So in that case, they wouldn't see your first contract if you did double-sided. Like you would have a contract that then you would then close on that, and the same day you would then turn around and sell it to the next party that you had a contract on as well.
Even though the numbers...
That's double-sided closing, right?
Even though the numbers work for them, it kind of doesn't sit well on them, that knowing that we make more money.
Exactly.
So we try to avoid that. And sometimes it happens that there's an agent in between, or they are kind of pushing back of having assignability in the contract. So just to keep it simple, we say, yeah, we'll buy it. So we get transactional funding and we double close.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Is there a certain number or percentage of purchase price that you start thinking about doing the double-sided closing as opposed to an assignment where the number starts to get to be so large that you start worrying about finding a buyer?
There's probably 2 factors that come into play, and one is your relationship with that seller. How are they emotionally? What type of individual are they? So if they're okay and we feel like they're going to be okay with it, we'll just go ahead and close it singly. But if it's an exorbitant amount of money, you're talking 70, 60, 50K to someone, it should probably be best to just double close.
It's true. I'm really just focused on the buyer, but it's also the seller. They could have a problem with it too.
You also have to have the money to close the deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Most new wholesalers that don't have money, they can't just start double closing. Right?
No.
Yeah.
That's another point.
They just want to do assignments. Yeah.
And a lot of them know. When getting into it, we thought the same thing. You have to have the money yourself, and you can do a bridge lender on that to kind of come in and give that bridge that gap for you. But then that's another fee. You have to have your numbers correct just so you can make that happen.
Right.
But generally, I'd say if it's a real higher end and the seller's a little wonky, then we'll double close it.
Why not take that deal and just flip it yourself? Was there a reason?
I think velocity of money sometimes plays a big role. So we can see, let's say you'll make 50, 60 grand in 3 months, or you can make 25 in 30 days. Like, let's move to the next one.
Yeah. I guess if you have enough, I think this is kind of what you're saying. If you have enough business coming in, it's like there's only so much you could do, right?
Yes.
as
and
well.
also the risk involved too.
Yeah.
I mean, you get into a flip, it sounds like you're gonna make a certain specific money, and then you start getting all kind of troubles in between. Like electrical is, you gotta rewire everything, so.
Yep.
Yeah, construction always surprises you at the end. We had a property that the guy didn't tell us that there was a fire, and we had no idea until they were doing their inspection. I'm like, hey, did you want to let us know that the house is on fire? Oh, I forgot about that. I mean, that's a pretty big forget. You know, there's a fire on it, so it all depends, on your numbers.
Where was this deal?
The one Loxahatchee,
Citrus,
right?
Loxahatchee, yeah.
Okay,
Citrus
cool.
Grove.
So west of West Palm Beach, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you started in the South Florida market, Palm Beach County.
Mostly Palm Beach County.
I mean, we still do. We just focus on Palm Beach County.
Okay.
Right now, you're Palm Beach based. Okay.
We moved a little bit like Palm Bay. We've seen like really good deals.
Which is up north, Martin County or
Port St. Lucie. We've seen really good deals, but our main marketing strategy focuses on Palm Beach County.
Got it. We'll get into the marketing here shortly, but let's just kind of get the timeline. So you had your first deal, Citrus. You assigned that $27,000. I think you made. That's awesome.
What year was that?
Maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah, two years ago.
Okay, so relatively recent. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So when we started, I mean, we met like 2 years and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Huh?
I love it.
We started doing deals right away, and then after a year doing deals together, then we said, hey, let's open a company, which was January of last year.
Yeah, January last year. Yep.
As we move through this conversation, I'm interested to hear what you feel like things are, like the market and your ability to execute today versus when you started. But we'll get into that later.
Okay,
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff to get into. So, and your company's the home buying guys.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
excellent.
home buying guys.
Good. So you had your first deal assignment, great, went well, and then where did you go from there? What transpired?
The portfolio. So that one thing that kind of, and this is kind of why we make such a good team. While I was doing engineering, I was focusing mainly on data. How we say is focus on data, not drama. So I was like literally just focusing on systems and things like that. And Tito is, he loves being on the phones. So we kind of merged that thing. And the deal that we got, it was code violations, judgments. It was a bunch of problems that I kind of managed how to market to. We came to meet this lady, an old lady in Palm Beach County, that she had a big portfolio. And she had all kind of code violations. She had all kind of problems.
And how did you find her?
So we pulled data from the county directly.
Just seeing people who had violations, lots of... Okay, and you saw multiple properties owned by her?
Liens, code violations. Then I pulled her information. Then I realized she had like 10 properties or something.
Wow. Okay. And multiple had violations.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
yes.
So you saw her name on a list multiple times.
Correct.
That's kind of what directed your eyes towards her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I started talking to her. Maybe like 4 months passed. I provided a solution. Cash was not an option. So we ended up picking up a seller finance, 0% interest.
Wow.
I think it was five houses. It was 5.
We ended up buying 5. Yeah.
What did the terms look on that seller finance deal?
So
you said 0%, but how long?
For how many years?
How long?
So it was $5,000 down
per property.
Per property.
What?
0% interest and 18 months balloon. And
Now-
we bought it at a super high discount. So
Yeah, very big discount.
Now, how did you go about negotiating something like that?
Well, she was really in a position that the city, when we contacted the city, they knew exactly who she was.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, here we go again. But she had a judgment, and there was a judgment on one property that was
tied up,
tying everything
Yeah, of
together.
course. It was cross lien. Yeah.
Correct. So this
Jerron
way,
knows very much.
Yeah, I know about cross lien.
yeah. So she was going to lose. Actually, the city wanted to take the properties from her because she was an old lady. She couldn't do nothing for it. So we kind of presented her the opportunity and said, hey, listen, the city's going to come in. They're going to take your properties from you, and you're going to be left with nothing. You know, they are dilapidated. You know, you have a lot of issues that we're willing to kind of go to the city and resolve, but we need to get it at a price that works for both of us. So she could have taken nothing and had the city, pull the properties out from underneath her, or she could sell them and have some retirement and have some money to give to her kids. Yeah. So that was really attractive to her. And she was like, hey, you know what, let's
created a win-win.
Yeah, it was a win for both.
Okay.
Yeah, it really was.
Good. Excellent. It was the threat of the hammer hanging over her head, or the guillotine that made her make the wise decision, which was a benefit, obviously, to you.
Did she present those terms though, or did you guys kind of work her into
we worked
them into.
I mean, we talked to
that's
the
a great, great.
We talked to the city multiple times. They essentially said, hey, listen, she's well known. She's being a landlord for 30 years. We know her pretty well. If she doesn't get these sold now, we're taking on the property.
They're going for it.
Okay.
So
okay.
we had to come with something.
And then obviously at the same time, once it looked like it was becoming a deal, you were working with the city to get them to back off and give you time to fix these issues. I'm assuming there were some with lots of fines on them.
Yep.
So you fixed them up, then you went to do fine mitigation to reduce the fines down to a very small amount, correct?
How did you get comfortable with that risk level, right? Like, I mean, you guys are new. You're about to take on fines. I mean, I have a building that has $175,000 lien on it from the city right now for stupid reasons, but we're working through it. But again, like, how did you feel comfortable taking that risk? I know you were talking to the city. Did they say, well, we can reduce this to about 5% of or 10% of what it is? So you were kind of quantifying that in the analysis?
They did give an answer. They did say they would be willing to work with us.
We're risky, but we make calculated risk.
Sure.
We talked to the city multiple times. We kind of knew how much they were going to reduce those fines.
Sure. So. I mean, Jerron and I are super comfy with this now because Jerron obviously defends people that are.
I do that for a living.
Yeah. And I've been through it a number of times as well, and we've bought stuff like that. So as experienced investors, that makes sense. But like early on, it's like you got to really get familiar,
especially
with this stuff, right?
Maybe your second deal, and your second deal involves 10 properties, or how many was it? How many properties?
So we end up buying 5 of them.
5 of them. Okay, so 5 properties. But that's it's
awesome, guys.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
And we spoke with our title company, and he was an investor. And that was a big key to this, is that our title company owner was an investor prior to. So he was just as excited for the deal as we were for the deal.
So you were talking to the attorney, working through like, hey, what is this gonna, like, what's the worst outcome gonna be?
Correct, yeah.
So I think that goes back to like having a good team on your side, which took time to create because you spent 2 years being a realtor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It did. It took time on it, but we were able to work that out. And he actually, our title guy, he went to the house and closed it at her house, at her coffee table.
Okay, nice.
Just, because there's a lot of questions, a lot to go over, a lot to explain, but having a great team behind you, that's absolutely
important.
Yeah, he has played a big role in our success.
Yeah.
Good.
Correct.
Excellent. Good stuff. Yeah.
Jacob Webb, level 10 title.
Level 10 title. Check him out. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, you want to have a team.
Yeah.
Whatever your team is, with lenders and title attorneys and all of that. Like good CPA, good accountant.
Yep, correct.
Hide all your assets from the government. No, I didn't say that. I definitely, let's delete that. I'm joking. Okay, so portfolio, you got the 5 properties, and then how quickly did you fix them up and exit from them, or what did you do with them?
We moved immediately. Immediately.
We had a public hearing with the city, so we kind of were in constant communication with them. One property at a time, inspection, getting that one approved to the next, and then as soon as we get them cleared, we sell them.
We sold them out.
Okay. Yeah. Did you list them on the MLS, or did you like wholesale them?
Yeah, it was off market.
Okay.
We had already marketed to investors, and we had investors already lined up, ready to take them.
Great.
So it was a real.
So again, you
easy
just
flowing.
But you took ownership of them and then just
correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
We just assigned them out to the investors, and they loved them. They take them.
Awesome. Really good stuff. So that was a great hit for you. That helped get you a good amount of capital, I assume.
Yeah.
It got you a turbocharge there.
That's it.
And then where did you go from there? What have you been doing as far as?
Then we did the flip Boca Chase.
Yeah, we did an awesome property that an actual agent presented to us in Boca Chase, and that was a probate situation. Multiple kids involved, and
this is a home, large single family home. Okay,
yeah, single family home,
West Boca.
West Boca, got it. Okay,
took that down as a flip.
Probate. Someone had died. They were already in probate, or they just needed to do a probate and they didn't know it, or how did that look?
It was
when you first contacted them.
A real situation. So the original owner had died and left it to her heirs, which was the kids, but the daughter, who was actually living in the property, had a substance abuse problem, and she had stayed there for another 10, 15 years, and the other siblings were really tired of it. So they had got the judge to do a provision. Is that called a provision, where they forced her to sign, or she had to give her interest out because they wanted her out. Partition.
Action. We do,
yeah. So they did a partition, so it forced her
to
get out of the property, and that's how we were. So it was some time, but it was all in.
And had they already started the partition action before you contacted them? They were in the process of it, or got it?
Yeah, okay. It was already rolling. The ball was already rolling.
Great, excellent. And then you put in a reasonable offer, and the court approved that offer. Was this court approved? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
18328.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was
the beginning of 2022.
21? Yeah.
2022.
22? Yeah, 22.
Okay. So changing
So
market,
2 years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
showing up, buying a property,
Yeah.
Yes.
We bought for
and
435.
just doing it. Like,
Just getting in there.
I mean, I don't know, for people who aren't aware, like the market was a little sketch, right?
Yeah.
What year, what month in 2022? You guys remember?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Too many
we
houses.
sold by
Yeah.
like in February, so we bought it like in December. I think that's what it was.
Of 21?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
All right, so you caught the tailwind of the
Just when
really
the market was
Yeah.
starting to to accelerate. So
Yeah.
good. And so you bought it for
435.
435.
We took 2 months to
2 months to
fully
flip.
renovate it.
Okay. So so you did. You put the work into it.
Yeah.
You fixed it up because you want to maximize the value.
Yeah.
Right.
What'd you sell it for?
755.
755.
Yeah, 755.
755.
755. Good. And how much did you put into it?
120.
Yeah, it was 120. We went into it.
Nice.
2 month time frame, and 755 if I'm correct.
Netted 150 plus, give or
Yeah,
take.
right around there.
Like that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Good.
That's great.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that deal allowed me to quit engineering.
Oh, did it?
That
Okay.
did it.
Because
Yeah.
after the portfolio, we had some funds, and then we did this one. It just didn't make sense to me to keep doing engineering anymore. It's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I
love
don't
it.
know what you're making, but let's say you're making 80, 90,000, maybe 100,000 as a few years into it, maybe 110, whatever it is. But if you get you make 150 divided by 275,000, that's more than 6 months of salary. Like you're
good.
on your way.
Yeah, in
you
3
know.
months we did that. And 2 months before we did the portfolio.
And
so
portfolio, there you go, boom. So your annual salary, you're way beyond,
Yeah.
way beyond that, probably multiple years of salary.
Correct.
So that's good.
That's still impressive to like get that quick. Like I don't know, respect. You guys like take. I get you take calculated risk, but that even for me, like that was still. So I started doing real estate in 2010, right? And I was an engineer till 2018, right? So
Took you 8 years to
8 years
extract
to-
yourself.
and yeah, I was doing 10 deals a year, and I was and by the time I left, I had 40 something doors, something like that, apartments, right? And I was still like, should I do this? You know what I mean? And you guys are like, we did 3 deals and we knocked it out. We made a bunch of money. Let's go. We're in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which,
That's all.
in hindsight, if I did what you did, I probably would be even further ahead of where I am now, because just focusing on real estate has changed my life in the past 5 years. Yeah.
Well, I've learned that anyone who's truly motivated and really goes in head first to whatever it is that they're doing, I've never, ever once talked to anyone who's a business person that has their own business, and whether they're realtors or whatever it is, title company or whatever the business is, I've never heard of regret. The only regret I hear, let's put it this way, is that I should have done it sooner. Just like Larry said, I believe the same thing too. I shouldn't have worked in corporate America for 8-9 years. I should have done it sooner. I should have just gone out and started my law firm right away out of law school. I should have taken that risk and that chance, and I didn't do that. But it put me almost 10 years behind, some of my colleagues. So but now it's, now you just want to work extra hard to make up for that time.
That's it.
So,
And it's not a part-time thing for us either. It's a
You're-
it's a full-time.
full-time, sure.
Every day, all day.
We were just joking before we started the podcast here about how much your phone buzzes and rings all
Yeah,
day.
good
So
one, yeah.
it never ends, right? When you own your business, yeah. So, but it's fun,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Enjoy it.
I would rather work 80 hours on what we're doing right now than the 9 to 5.
95-40.
Amen.
Amen. Typing away at the
Amen.
desk or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love
100%.
it. I love
100%. Not that I never am upset if I'm go to a coffee shop on Saturday for 4 hours and do my work and catch up on projects and work on my website or whatever I'm doing, to get to that next step. It's
And,
never.
and I can dress however I want. So.
As
Thanks for
we
the
see.
memo. For you guys.
That works.
So, and when did you quit your job, Tito?
So I retired. So my first single family home, my house that I did myself, kind of got me interested. And when I realized the potential, what I could make, I laid it down. So I would say that was in 2020.
Great.
Is when I went in, told my my superiors, I said, hey, put my 2 weeks in. Yeah, I got something else, and they completely understood.
That's ballsy too. And the thing is, it's so hard to extract yourself from a job like that. That two things. One is the benefits are incredible. The health
Correct.
benefits, the insurance. You're married. You've got kids. How many kids do you have? 2?
3. Got
3.
yep.
I mean, those benefits are costly. And the second thing is the schedule of a fireman is such that what is it? What do you normally work? Like 24 on,
It was
24 on, 24
24
off?
on, 48 off.
48 off. So, so you had the time you could have continued dabbling in real estate, right? With your license and done some listings here and there and made some money and on top of what you're making as a fireman, but you went and just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, let's go.
I really did. I called a mentor of mine. I kind of got him on the phone.
Plus 17 years in, which I didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
It's not like you were 7 years in or 4 years in. You're vested, and you're continuing to vest more and more.
Correct. It's part of your identity at that point.
Yeah.
Totally. Fireman.
Yeah.
So it was a hard jump. I mean, it really was. But I made the phone call, called a mentor, and spoke with him. It's Austin Rutherford. And I said, hey man, I'm thinking about like laying this down, and he's like, do it. I mean, no reservations. Wow. He says, jump in, do it. Believe in yourself, educate yourself, and just run. And I did. Wife was fully supportive behind it.
Well, that was even more amazing.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah.
You want to have your partner in life, your wife, that is there and not, not just focused on the safety and security, which oftentimes I hear is sometimes it's not always. People get that support when they make that leap. So
that's right.
Good for her. Yeah, that's great. But let's get back into it. Let's dive back into it. So you had the flip in Boca. You made 150 net on, and where'd you go from there? And by the way, along the way, tell us how your marketing tactics are changing over time.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the beginning that are getting these deals, and then later on maybe you're tweaking that or you're adding marketing tactics onto it?
That's important because when we were doing Boca Chase, we still had other deals that were flowing in. So we're still underwriting, running numbers on other properties, and then putting other things under contract and just
wholesaling.
Correct. Yeah.
How much were you? How many deals a month were you wholesaling? Say 2-3 years ago.
You would say one a month or so, maybe not more. Two, at least two.
Probably like two.
Yeah, at least two.
Okay. And where were you kind of getting this inbound from?
So Jose, we had.
I'll take it from
here.
here.
Let's go to the data guy, not the drama guy, the data guy.
We like to pull everything from the account. I mean, we've been tweaking stuff along the way. We just revamped our marketing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the case, right? Because I'm a broker, and man, I have a marketing director, and every morning we're meeting and saying, okay, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? How are we improvising or changing, or because that's what this is.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, but what we're doing is basically we pull data, public data, from the county. We try to see what kind of problems we want to dive into. We early on in our business, we start figuring out that we're good at solving code violations. So we start pulling a bunch of properties that had code violations every month. We stack them with other stuff that makes them say they're vacant or they have a pre-foreclosure. And then the more problems they had, those ones we will see that they were the most motivated sellers, and we'll focus on those ones instead of trying to like reach out to everybody.
So who's getting on the phone?
We have a team. Okay. So when we pull the data, which is public data, everybody has access to this data, So we would pull it, he would stack the properties, and then we have a team, VAs overseas that do our cold calling.
Okay, so you have Filipino cold callers.
Correct. Yeah. So
I have a staff of 6 Filipinos. Jerron, I mean, you have a staff.
I have a staff of
a bunch of
Filipinos as well.
I have a mix of different areas, but Philippines, Spain, actually, other places.
Yeah, that works. You know, so they get the data, they'd call, they'd warm them up, put them into our CRM, and then the leads would get assigned to us, and then we actually followed up, and then so we're focusing on Palm Beach County. It gives us the opportunity to. I know there's a lot of virtual wholesalers out there, or do things virtual, emails out, but this gives us the opportunity to actually go to the house, meet them in person, build rapport.
That's important.
And who's doing that? You?
Yeah, we'll both do that.
Okay. We'll both do it.
Yeah, we both do that.
Go together, or
divide and conquer?
Sometimes together. We kind of depending on what
depends,
we're doing.
Depends on your schedule.
Someone doesn't like me, I'm like, hey, go to this house. Someone doesn't.
Vodka.
We don't like vodka. Let's go to the rum.
It's another added benefit.
Sorry.
Yeah, but typically, like what we do and has been working for us is in the mornings I take care of the data on the VAs, the systems and processes for us. In the evenings, we get on the phone, try to lock up deals. Tito likes to be in the field. He likes the construction site. So in our flips, he works in the mornings, takes care of the crews. In the evenings, we try to look up deals.
Yeah. How many in order to do the business you're doing, and we haven't even got there yet, but like how many phone calls are you guys making a day? Is your team making a day?
Yeah. So we have two different strategies. So we have the multi-dialer. So basically,
what do you use, like a Mojo or?
Yeah, so we use smartphones, smart dialer.
So, okay.
At some point we were using call tools. We kind of
you learn, you adapt.
Totally.
We've been trying a bunch of them, but those ones we call like 4 at a time. Like that's kind of the system we were using, and those you call about 800 dials is kind of the minimum.
A day per
a day per caller
per
full
call.
time.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's say I looked at the data, or we call about 800,000, 900,000 a year is how many dials I'll have in.
Wow. How many of those, let's say 800 per day, I don't know if you've done this analysis, but how many actually have people pick up of the 800 calls?
I don't have.
You don't go through on a
we follow some KPIs.
forensic kind of.
Yeah.
What are your KPIs for the cold calling team?
Okay, so from first of all, we skip trace. The skip tracing from the 100% of the leads, we get about 80% accuracy, sometimes 75%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So that's another thing. So we try to analyze the data differently, not just like, okay, we got these results and then we just call whatever we have.
Yeah.
We call those, but at the same time, we have a VA that focuses on the other part that didn't get results back. So what do we do with those ones that nobody's calling? So what we do is one by one, we clean that data and we skip trace them again, or we try to send direct mail. Sometimes we have somebody that does door knocking for us.
Some deep prospecting.
So we try to get in front of pretty much most of the time. We try to focus on the people that nobody's trying to reach.
Yeah,
those are the ones that we try to call.
That's where we've done well as well, like kind of getting real detailed, right? And so I have a VA, same thing, that manually goes in and skip traces.
Yes.
So it gets real cleaned up. And then I have one cold caller that's local actually, that dials locally, but I'm doing brokerage business, and usually it's a little bit of a different experience. It's my branding, and they know who we are to a degree because it's very hyper local in Boca, right?
Correct.
Versus just like shotgun approach, which is kind of what you guys do. Who has a pulse and says they might sell? Okay, so somebody says they might sell in the conversation online or with the virtual assistant, it gets pushed to you.
Yeah, it'll get pushed to either one of us. So our VAs will assign us a task.
How many calls are you having, like a day?
Minimum, we try to do at least 10 calls a day.
10 calls a day.
We'll try to get
those
on
are
and do 10
motivated
calls.
sellers. So our conversion in KPIs is typically we do like 10 leads to a contract.
Okay,
That's
so contract per day.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I probably a bit less than that.
Yeah.
But that's typically because we start doing follow-ups after that.
Got it.
80%.
So it's maybe not 10. So maybe it's not 10 new leads per day. It's 10 calls a day.
Correct.
Well, that's actually pretty good. You've kind of like my view of that was like 800 per dialer per person, and then that funnels down to like under 10.
Yeah. Well, and it builds too. So we have the lead on the phone. They don't sign that right then. We have to do build. So then that goes as like a warm or hot lead, and then we slowly work that lead until it we'll convert it into a.
And that's all you guys. You're working them.
That's us for sure.
Is the main goal, if they're here in South Florida, to try to meet with them, right? Face to face. Have you found that's where you get your best?
Correct. Because
results,
people are bombarded.
Right?
They're bombarded.
How do you do business otherwise? I know there's wholesalers that kind of figure this out without, but in South Florida, I don't know how you get it done without meeting them in person. Yeah,
right. It's key.
Is that your feeling?
It really, really is key.
No, you're right.
Yeah, the market's different down here.
The conversion is all different. I mean, we've done locked up deals in just over the phone, but typically we meet them in person first, and we try to let them know like, hey, if you want to check on us, just call the title company, call these companies, so they know we exist. We're real.
Do you have a Google My Business page with a whole bunch of reviews or anything like that? Is that
don't have the reviews, but we have just a general website.
We have a Trustpilot thing like for reviews, but I mean we got like maybe 4 or 5 reviews. It's not.
Got it.
Yeah.
So having a web presence isn't really that critical for you right now. Like you haven't found that to be that people need to see because they want to go Google you when you leave their house or when you get off the phone with them. Like you don't. Is that a
It's
major.
It's not major, but if we
a
got
speed bump or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if we get off the phone with somebody, and they have like a reservation, we can refer them to the site, and then we refer them to our title company, so that way they can kind of look and vet us and see, okay, who are these guys real or are they not?
Got it.
Of course.
So it works.
Yeah, but we don't really use the website for marketing. Most of our leads are outbound. And unless they ask us for a website, we don't really talk about
So
it.
no pay-per-click, really.
we don't do it.
You're not doing SEO work. You're not like none of that.
Yeah,
You're really focused on mailers and outbound dialing.
Yeah, we recently started doing more mails. Before it was like very niche.
Yeah. What are you doing on the mail side? Curious.
We just started that. Yeah.
So now that's kind of what we shifted to. Now we're really focusing on being first to market.
Yeah.
That's our main thing now.
That's
So
key.
we try to, for example, probate records, we try to be as quick as possible. As soon as those probates come out,
The day the record comes out, get that letter out.
we send them direct mail right away. We call them, send them text messages and voice messages if they don't answer.
Got it.
We get in their face.
How has the probate lead source been?
That's probably our second best lead
Got it.
is probate. And the reason is, one of the reasons why we focus on Palm Beach County alone as a foundation, it allows us to maximize all of our systems and allows us to perfect everything down to a T. And if we don't like it, we can adjust. So once we have this locked in, then we can expand,
Makes sense.
to other counties and whatnot. But by having us do that locked in for Palm Beach County, it allows us to get speed to lead, first to market, because there's other companies out there that are taking the same data as well too. So we're getting it, 7 days before they're even processing it. And it gives us a little bit of a jump.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Got it. So I have the cold call team, but right now I only have one guy. And we tried the probate thing. It wasn't, but again, it might be to your point. I was using some kind of, I forget what it was. It was a system that was providing us the leads.
third-party software.
Third-party software. Are you guys circumventing the third-party software to get it sooner? Or are you guys using a third-party
You're getting
software?
it direct from the source,
We get it direct.
from the courts,
We don't
probably. Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
And
prop
so
string or things like that, we don't touch them at all because
Yeah.
typically they come like 2 or 3 weeks
Right?
after.
Got it. Super, super interesting. Yeah, that feels like that's probably the move.
It is.
Yeah.
An example analogy that I have is when I first started my firm in 2010, it was during the foreclosure crisis. And at that time, I was getting, I met a guy that he was gathering this data directly from the courthouse on a daily basis. And he would pipe the data to me in an Excel spreadsheet. And he was getting this data to other sources too, not a law firm, because what I was trying to pitch was my foreclosure defense services, charging $395 per month for foreclosure delay, essentially, so that it gave them the homeowners time to work out either a loan modification or a short sale or something else, or a bankruptcy, God forbid, if they had to. And we would assist them with those different services too. But the point is that I was able to get that data so quickly and I worked with my mailing company that I made sure that they got that letter out that day. Like we would get it in the morning, 9, 10 a.m. And I wanted those letters in the mail by 5 p.m. because I talked to other homeowners over time, some period of time, and I would just periodically, I would ask them questions. And within just a matter of maybe a week to 2 weeks, they would have 50, 60 mailers in their mailbox from attorneys trying to pitch them these services. But when I was the first one to get that letter and they opened the mailbox, they're surprised because they wouldn't even have been served yet with a foreclosure lawsuit. So the process server hadn't even knocked on their door. So they were astounded when they opened up my letter, and I've got their case number, I've got their bank, I've got, their name, and I'm letting them know that here are your options. You're about to be served with a foreclosure complaint if you haven't already. And they would call me immediately.
Instantly, yeah.
And in the beginning, I was getting like a 3% response rate on mailers. Even with, as attorneys, we would have to put advertisement in red. So even with that, which is terrible because half the time people are just going to throw it out. They don't open the letter and see that there's critical information in there. But I was getting a 3% response rate in the beginning. Over time, after about a year and a half, that started well, it actually, the response rate came down, unfortunately. But but at any given point, we would have about 100 people paying us $400 a month just to fight this. And then we would make money off other ancillary services. But the point of my story is that getting that data directly from the source as quickly as possible and getting your marketing out, your calls out, your letters out, that's absolutely critical because it's first to market. You got to beat other people. So you're doing the right things.
And it's not just the process of trying to get them like as a motivated seller. Sometimes they say, I'm not interested. We still reach out to those guys quarterly because the ones that are not interested now.
Life happens.
Yeah,
There probably leads later.
They're free
at
leads.
some point.
Just put them on a trickle campaign or something.
And you already spend the money. You already
spend it.
In our system, we keep track of what's the correct number. So when we go back, we're not calling every single number they have. We just focus on correct numbers.
We do the same thing.
So
I use Follow Up Boss for our CRM. And so our admin staff is constantly moving through. So I pretty much have East Boca, any single family homeowner in East Boca, I probably have, at the beginning I have 10 numbers maybe. Yeah. And then as the team moves through it, it's like, okay, well now we have most people's numbers because we've worked through it. We found the right person. All the other numbers get removed. We have their contact info.
And so when someone picks up, especially if they acknowledge who they are, then you lock it in. You delete the other numbers.
And my system works so well that when anyone even calls me, say they call me out of the blue, maybe my person talked to them 2-3 years ago, vetted the number, got everything cleaned up in the contact. It rings on my cell phone, it says their name right there. So I'm like, hey, Mike, right? How are you doing? And they're like, what? How do you even know who I am? Oh, yeah, I got you on my phone. I think we talked to, whatever. Like, oh, wow. Not only am I calling this guy, he already knows who I am. Like, it's just like this level of like,
if you could use someone's name, right there. If you're accurate with their name, even just a first name, it's
crazy.
That disarms them. Yeah. That gives you, instead of giving you 5 seconds to make your pitch, it gives you maybe a minute. You bought yourself time and they'll actually listen to you.
So I don't know how your door knocker does his thing, but my mom is my partner, and she's a professional door knocker of 20 plus years. She's a killer at this. When we do our farming, our neighborhood farming, she has the list. She has these maps that are like this big of the neighborhood, and then she has them folded up in a specific way. So now they're this big. So as she walks down the street, she just flips. Okay. So we got it like perfectly organized. And on that map, it says everybody's name. So like when she knocks on the door,
she knows,
hey, Mike, how are you doing? And they're like, what? How does she know? So it just disarms them immediately, and then she has a quick conversation with them and then moves on or gets an appointment.
And I think that's how you set yourself apart from the competition and the newbies, because knowing all that information, not burning through lists and then just getting a new list and skip tracing all over again. Like the amount of money, if you don't control your numbers, your metrics there, the amount of money that you just burn
out the window,
it goes crazy. So
also data is like super valuable. We've done this over time. We haven't put a specific campaign around this, but this might be something that you guys consider in the future, like just a retargeting campaign with your list of like verified humans that are maybe selling at some point. You're just retargeting. We buy homes cash or whatever. For us, it's me just branding myself with the most recent market update video. So I'm retargeting on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube with that massive East Boca list of people that we know are like we've talked to in our like nurture hot stage of the funnel. Yeah.
And I carry flyers in my car. I still have, the Land Glide app, we used to constantly, anywhere we're down the road, or it never stops. So we see a property or something. It really is, we take it, plug it in, email it, send it, tag it, and then it goes in. So it's a constant of multiple different angles.
What you're really doing is you're drinking out of a fire hose of data and number of properties that are out there, because you have these lists, but these are just slices of the overall market of people who might want to sell or be distressed sellers. And again, not that you're looking for traditional sales, but you can broker those too, right? Do you do a handful of those too here and there? If someone says, I want the highest and best price, do you just say, we'll list your property too?
Oh yeah, that's an option that we give too. And then we have an agent that works with us as well too, so referral. So we're able to keep our agent busy if he's not working on our deals. We're able to kind of refer some of our leads, because we get that. We call, they're like, hey, I need the maximum amount of dollar. Zillow says, thank you, Zillow. Right. They have their number, and our numbers just don't work for it, so we'll put them in contact with an agent because we're still trying to add value and help them regardless.
Yeah.
We still want to solve their problem.
Well, you put a lot of money into that time to get them into a lead, so get some money out of it, even if it's 3% commission. It's not bad. It's good money, over time. But you don't maybe get that big hit of getting that $30,000, $40,000 wholesale commission or $150,000 on a flip. But hey, maybe you'll get $15,000 on a commission. Not bad,
if
right?
we can capitalize on it. We try to.
Positive, not negatives.
That's it.
Going in, not going out.
That's it. Hit some singles. Not everything's a grand slam.
And we keep shifting. I mean, we're a fairly new company, so we just keep learning through
learning, adjusting.
Perfecting.
Yeah.
How many flips are you doing a year right now, or what do you think your average is and goal is for this year versus wholesale deals?
So say 2023 versus what you want to be doing in 2024.
So we have 2 flips going on right now currently. We've got one that we just recently closed on, so that will be our third that will start. But we've noticed a little bit of a shift in the market. I think everybody has. So
what are you feeling?
For right now, I think the market's kind of at a little stagnant. It kind of dropped down. There's all these sellers who are out there who have higher expectations from when was it 21 when the market was just you had a showing, you had 40 people show up at the door. Open houses are packed. So they're still in that mind frame of wow, my house that was worth 300 is now worth 600. It's not the case anymore. But they still have that mindset of thinking that their house is really elevated. So I think there's some unrealistic sellers right now just because of the previous market, and I think that's coming down and stabilizing a little bit.
Okay. Do you feel as you fix these up and start to flip these homes, are you feeling like the market's still pretty healthy for those flipped homes? Are you getting good demand? Is it easy to sell them when you fix them?
Yeah, because we have all direct to seller off market.
Okay.
It works for us because the profit's in the buy. You got to buy it right.
Now, are you putting any of these flips on the market on the MLS when you do the work yourself?
We're done. Yeah, we'll list them. Yeah,
we'll
list them
on
on
the
market. Yeah, flip them.
I mean, at the end of the day, since we get everything off market, it doesn't really matter to us if the market is up, down, sideways, as long as we're below the median. Then we're fine.
You're at 50 cents on the dollar on the purchase.
What do you?
You're gonna make money.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what do you target? Like, where's your hey, I'm gonna execute on this as a wholesale deal? Is it 80% of value, 50% of value?
So for us, we've talked about this. It really depends on where we're at, in that quarter. How we're adjusting. So are we going to flip this, or are we is this a buy and hold? Will it work for DSCR, or is this something we should just kind of wholesale out? So it really it's timing depending on how we are, how our construction projects are going, how the market is. So a lot of factors come into it.
Are you holding any of these? Are you retaining any of these assets?
Yeah, we hold. Yeah, the key is to hold.
Yeah.
So how many do you guys have now?
6.
Yeah, we got 6. Yeah, 6.
And are they all single families?
No. So we have 3 single families and 1 triplex.
Nice.
That's the creative deal that we kind of mentioned.
That was another
before.
deal.
Yeah, let's talk about that one. But actually, before we get to that one, just to finish off kind of 2023 versus where you've said the market you think is going, which I tend to agree with you. I mean, I've seen rent prices are softening here in the South Florida market, and they've stayed high and been increasing up until recently, probably the last 6 months. But I've talked to 2 very large property managers just in the last 2 days, and they both said softening and rent prices, which corresponds with a softening in purchase prices as well, right, Larry? I mean, you did 110 plus deals last year, so
so inventory's up a little over 20% here in Boca. So you're gonna feel the softening from that, right? Days on market are sitting like in the less than 2 months range, somewhere in the 50s, right? Which is still pretty strong, right? But price growth, like sale price growth, is still, from a median perspective, it's somewhere, depending on how you're looking at the data, it's somewhere between 6 and 12% up since last year on median or average data, whether you're comparing this month last year to this year to last year, or this year 2023 to last year 2022. It's up. So
still up.
Overall, if you're looking at it like that, especially in Boca
or the county wide.
Last I looked, the county is similar, but the most recent data I just pulled 3 days ago or whatever, it's up in Boca for sure. I can speak to that exactly. But we've seen price growth still. Do I think things are probably slowing down?
But that's one other question, just to understand that. That's year over year, your comparison?
Yeah, but the trend isn't down.
It's not. Even just the quarter?
Month over month.
Or month over month?
The trend isn't down. What's what's intriguing and what I'm watching closely is just the inventory over the past 3-4 months, month over month, is going like this. And
Correct.
20% year over year is like pretty substantial. And most of that 20% came in the last few months.
Right.
So that's unique. But then again, we have this seasonality thing here in South Florida where it's like during, I don't know, July, August, September, October, even November and December, things are a little different than they are February, March, April, May, right? That's
Correct.
like the peak time to time your sale. If you're a seller, that's the highest velocity of sales transaction, right? So like, I think it'll be interesting to see just like what happens over the next few months to see if that trend of inventory continues to climb or not. The inventory is still like 20% less than it was pre-COVID, like the 2019, 2015 era. It's still lower. So
We're just creeping our way back up to that.
I think we're creeping back up to that market, that previous market, which to me is fine and fair, and it's probably good for all of us. It's just, if it could just stay stable, you can make good business decisions,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So that would be great. And then interest rates came down a little bit. And as far as what I'm seeing too from my brokerage, now I don't know if this is just me like working really hard and getting a lot of business, or if this is what the market's experiencing overall, but I've just climbed from like 12 listings, active listings, to I think this week I have 25 total active listings on the market. So over the past 30 days here, I've been, I don't know, probably averaging 2 listing appointments a day.
Amazing. Amazing.
And putting them on the market. So is the inventory climbing further this month? We'll see. We'll see in a couple of days when I look at those numbers. But
And also, how long will it be till you get under contract for these? So you've doubled your number of listings, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But let's hope that you have same velocity of contracts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And
You can dispo them.
consistent days on market, which is
Yeah. Instead of just stacking 40 listings that you're like painfully selling through that process, right? Of like price reduction, working on it, negotiating, all this.
Pressure's on, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just a lot more work than it used to be
Correct.
2 years ago, where I'd put one on Wednesday, sell it the following Wednesday. We're done. No
that's the
contingency.
seller's
That's a great
market.
market.
That's the best of
Great
the
market.
yeah.
We're not there anymore for sure.
No.
Yeah, for whatever it's worth.
Florida's its own beast.
I mean, we saw it in Boca Chase that one. We had like 45 showings.
Yeah.
It was
Great
insane.
neighborhood.
In 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Hot
good.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you renovated
Bidding
it.
wars and
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was.
It's fun stuff.
Even the last flip Jerron and I did, I was the broker. Jerron did it. That one didn't have a whole bunch of like people moving through. It was a membership equity community too, which is a whole different thing, but animal in itself. But still, we still hit like a very good number, I would argue. And I don't know.
Record-breaking number, really?
Yeah.
For that community.
Record-breaking. And I would say that, I don't know, even 2 years ago, I don't think we would have done that same number. Like we would have, there would have been a ton of people there, but our list price probably would have been 7 as an example.
Yeah,
and we would have probably sold for $725 versus $775 or whatever it was. And we would have felt like that's huge. But now I think prices are still up for the most part for good stuff. The stuff that needs work, which I think is the benefit right now. The stuff that needs work, in my opinion, that's starting to sell for less and less and less, which is great for the flippers or investors, because that's where we need that spread. There was like very little spread 2 years ago, at least from an on-market perspective. Off-market stuff is
it's a different beast.
different
No,
discussion.
we've seen that. And also, like, because of that, we started locking up deals a lot more creative than just the cash offers. And that has been working out.
Yeah,
for
creative.
us.
Yeah, working out creatively with
Let's
the
talk about
sellers
that.
is awesome.
Yeah. So what experience do you guys have in that?
So we'll go. You want to go to the triplex? So one that triplex are
Yeah, let's talk about that deal. And maybe that's a creative deal, or if you have other examples too. But let's start with the triplex. That's an awesome.
Yeah, that was a creative
hit.
deal. We had 3 positions on that purchase. So it was a purchase price of $1,050,000.
And how did you find the lead?
This one's this one actually I found that I sent it to Josh.
Yeah.
So essentially that one was sitting in the market for like
Stagnant.
8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was listed. Got it.
Nobody was paying the money that he wanted.
Got it.
I think he wanted like 800, 900,000 for it. Everybody was offering like a cash offer for 700.
Yeah, way low.
Got it.
And then we said, listen, we'll give you the number you want, but it'll have to be in our terms. And the guy said, okay. And then we started negotiating that. We end up offering $1,050,000, but we put zero money out of pocket.
Yeah.
It was we kept the existing mortgage in his name. We started making payments on his behalf, which is called subject to the existing mortgage.
Right.
Then we, on second position, we brought a private money lender that lends lended $600,000 on the project.
What were the terms on that second position?
So it was $350,000 down payment for the seller, and the other $250,000 was for the flip, and we offered him 20%.
Yeah.
20%.
So you had
return.
debt and equity position.
Yeah. So 20% return on that 4-month spread, which is a great return for him.
Oh, so just that, you mean 20% interest rate on
just
4 months? On the 4 months.
on
Okay.
the money. Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
he had
wow.
to be an equitable partner because of what we were giving him. It was $195,000 is what our lender was going to make in that 4 months, and if we didn't perform, it was a $1,000 a day penalty because he was a second position lender. So it was
very dangerous.
very
Very
risky.
risky.
Very risky.
You know,
Yeah.
and then the seller actually held the rest was $274,000
$274 on
in
seller
a third
finance.
position on seller finance.
0%.
Yeah. So we went into that deal with $0 out of our pocket. Our second lender funded our rehab, and
And the gap.
the gap, and then we fixed it. We did that in 3 months,
Yep.
and then we had the appraisal, and appraisal came back well over what we were expecting. So it was definitely a win-win. It was a
Tell
so
us
you
those
refied
numbers.
out of
yeah, you
Oh,
got
that's the good stuff. Let's get to the sizzle. Yeah.
So we were hoping that it would appraise for like 1.8, and it came back at 3 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So yeah.
And then what did you do? Did you sell it?
No.
Did you?
No,
Okay.
we kept it. So we pay everybody.
You cash out
You know,
refi.
we
right?
pay off the existing loan. We pay off the private lender, which we kept the relationship. Now he's lending to us in another deal, but we kept the third position seller finance in place.
Yeah.
So instead of paying that off, we kept it in the deal. So it's cheaper for us for the new mortgage.
And what does that look like? The third position. What's the interest rate or?
0%.
Zero
That was
Oh,
the
zero.
seller
Oh, that's
finance. Yeah.
zero. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the 195.
The 274.
274. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 0% for how long until you have to pay that off?
There's no 30 years.
30 year.
Yeah.
30 years. Wow.
What?
He was okay with that.
0%, 30 years.
So again, like this is pretty wild.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Here's what I find is interesting about that. It's when you're like negotiating something like that, are you just throwing out, hey, this is what we're willing to do?
Well, we go depending on the situation of the
Yeah.
guy, because we listen. We don't just go and offer terms
Yeah.
before learning their story. So, the guy said, I want to retire. I say, okay, so it looks like you just need mailbox money. He's like, yeah, okay. And you need some money to buy a new house? Okay. So then that's how we structure, like we'll give you $350 down. You can buy a house, and we'll have the $274 in monthly payments. So you can have also, retirement money.
And he had went to the doctor, and they said, hey, you're sick, and your life is not as long as you think it's going to be.
Wow.
So that was another motivation. He's like, hey, these guys are offering me something very fair. I want to live life and enjoy it. I need to buy that house. I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to work with you. Wow. So he was open to it.
Yeah, and against the 700,000 offers that he was getting, we offer $1 million.
Yeah, we offer
It's like
more.
I like yours.
Yeah.
He's
of
like,
course.
yeah, you're better.
Of course. Even with the 274 out, you're still over 700, meaning the gap between what they offered and you still owe him the 274,000. It's just 0% interest,
Correct,
and it's
yeah.
sitting out there. But you still paid him above, even if he doesn't. That 274 is sitting on the sideline for 2 years or 5 years or however long it takes you to pay it off. So
Correct.
I'm just pointing out that he got a win out of this, and you guys obviously got a great win.
Definitely got a win.
Do the rents cover the debt? Does it the debt service?
Correct. It's an Airbnb. So
Okay,
it's a
great.
triplex Airbnb on the beach.
I was going to ask where. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
city?
it's on A1A in Boynton Beach. It's a 4603 North Ocean Boulevard. If you want to look it
Ocean
up.
Boulevard, yeah.
If you want to go rent it, great place to spend the night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Catching.
especially during season. Yeah,
That's it.
I mean, it's fully booked right now.
Fully booked.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
yeah.
Did you say off market deal or on market?
This one was
That one was
on market.
on
That was
We're
on
sitting
market.
in the market
Stacked.
for
I know
it.
exactly which one it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know exactly which one.
Yeah.
It
We
was.
call it
Yep.
the jungle house. It was a mess.
Yeah, it was super. It's like you look at it, you're like, this is super interesting, but you need somebody to figure out the creative.
Someone's got to
creative
grab it.
path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
exactly.
didn't even know that there was we name our flips depending on the vibe or the look that we get. So we name them. Just a real quick, short one. There was a one in Boca that we saw had rocks all on the inside, rocks on the outside. We're in the truck, and I said, I got the name. And he's like, what is it? I said, Rocky Balboa. That was it.
That's it.
That's the name for that
That's
property.
awesome.
But this one was the jungle. We called it the jungle house. You couldn't even see the property from the road. So when we took the landscaping down, people would stop and say, when'd you build this? It's been there. You just couldn't see
Yeah,
it.
we kept those trees until the property was ready.
Until we were
so
ready
then
to
we
go.
cut them out. It's like, where was this
That's
thing?
smart.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually really
But
smart.
it was an on-market stale property. I think
Okay.
he found it doing keyword searches.
Yep.
Yeah, keyword searches for that property, and then that's
What does
they
that
did.
look like?
So we go to the MLS, and then we search for public remarks, specific things that might be for investor friendly. Let's say,
TLC,
TLC,
something. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
Got it.
That one was
That's
sitting.
clever.
Special. Yeah. Those are
clever.
So you're on Flex MLS in there, clicking around, searching that. You can actually search those things.
Yeah, you search that
you
criteria.
can just search. Actually, we don't even search anymore because we have a kind of automatic
A smart list or a
reminders
hot
that
list or
just
whatever it's
come
called.
up. Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
just
pulls
puts
them.
it in your inbox or
Yeah.
on your sheet.
Exactly.
Investor's dream. Yeah,
That's it.
I mean, there's a bunch of
No,
fluff in there.
that's crap. 99% of those are not dreams for investors. Yeah, you'll
They don't
bury
know what you
yourself
want them
for
to.
life if you buy one of those.
Handyman special.
Yeah, the handyman special. That's
The motivated seller one is always like,
We get that.
motivated seller.
Yeah.
That's great. So that was really great seed capital for you too, right?
Yeah.
For your other flips. So you pulled money out of that. That's paying for itself. You're making some money on it too, probably from the Airbnb. Yep. But you also, the money you pulled out, you're using that to do other flips
so
as well.
we didn't like take all the equity out because if not, the mortgage was going to be
Sure, too high.
we just
Okay.
made sure to pay everybody back,
Sure.
keep it to the minimum so we can cash flow.
Yeah.
And actually, we're trying to stabilize it and then just sell it to.
Yeah.
to
Oh, you may actually sell it.
Yeah,
Stabilize
We're
it
just
and
going to sell
put
it
it
as
on
a
the market.
business.
I
Okay.
mean, the amount of equity that's trapped in that deal is bananas, right? So
Correct.
Yeah.
How can you not? Like it's
Like capture
it's
the
a good
equity, go
kickstart.
do another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the appraisal wasn't done based on Airbnb rents, right? It was based on traditional rents.
it was just a traditional. Appraiser came out. It was.
That was kind of a hiccup because
Yeah.
there was a couple of appraisers that said like, I am not comfortable in appraising this thing.
Okay.
And
Wow.
we just kept looking. So
Because there was one. It was unique.
It's
unique
just so
to that
such
area.
a unique
we
property.
don't have similar comps in that
Yeah,
area.
it's hard.
Got
No
it.
way.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That will be the comp when it sells for that
Yeah.
area.
It'll be the only jungle property in Palm Beach County.
But to be honest, I don't recommend that thing to do anybody. That was risky from us.
That was risky.
Well, okay.
I mean,
That was
everything
stressful.
worked out well, like exactly how we wanted it, but it was,
yeah.
No, there's a reason why I was sitting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember flipping it to one of my guys and being like, "Hey, this is interesting," but then it's like, "Well, how do you really say what this thing's worth? How do we execute on this? Like, oh yeah, you can do all these cool things that you just described, but it's like you got to do them, and it's going to take a lot of time to figure that out."
But you had a few sleepless nights over the few months you
Oh,
you
yeah.
were,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
getting
I
under
think that's the name
contract
of
and
the
doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah. If you're not an entrepreneur, if you don't sit with your hand in your head at night, and say, "What in the heck?"
If you don't wake up at 3:30 a.m. like I do at least 2 nights a week and not sleep, then
Yeah,
something's wrong. You're not doing. You're
working
not in
hard enough.
action. Yeah, you're not working hard enough.
There's
right?
a number of deals that I've done with my partner who I buy stuff with, and we just say, "Man, that deal almost killed us." You know what I mean? Like that one almost kills. Like I can't believe we pulled that off. Going back to the property at 10 p.m. at night, looking at it, like watching the street. Like I don't know how good we feel about this. Tomorrow's the deadline, right? Like
Yeah, that's it. That's the game right there. That really is it. But
we bought a building with some structural issues from one of Jerron's close friends, actually Daniel, and it had we found out that it had structural issues. We knew it had structural issues. It was in the moment where a super competitive market, so we had to go hard day one on everything. So we're on the phone with these structural engineers that I know from when I was working as an engineer, and I'm talking to him like, "Hey, this is the circumstance," and he's on speakerphone. He's like, "Go over the property, see how many quarters you can fit in the cracks." So we're there at 10 p.m. at night,
Really?
pushing quarters and
pushing quarters in the cracks, right? We got 3 quarters in the cracks. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean? He's like, "That means that's a pretty serious structural issue."
Issues.
And we're
Yeah.
like, we're like, "Oh God." So what do we do? What's the worst case scenario? Going through that, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. Anyway,
we've had a
been
couple. We've had a couple that were like, "I don't know if we should get into this." Let's just really go through it and say, "Yeah, let's not do it."
Yeah. I mean, after that one specifically, we said listen, we took a lot of risk on this thing. I mean, thank God everything went well, but let's just focus mostly on getting cash reserves, because anything goes sideways. We were counting multiple times hey, this doesn't go well, we're going to be in a very bad spot.
There's
Yeah.
a build
Rough
I'm
spot.
doing right
Yeah.
now, ground up construction. Jerron knows about this. I was venting to him about it the other day. Same thing. It's costing more money than expected on the build, and we're really pushing the envelope on how much cash we have to do this
kinda
deal in
make
the
that happen,
moment.
yeah.
We'll go solve it like you would. Go get funding from somewhere else if we need to, but it's really tight, and it's I don't know if we should have pushed it this close to the edge.
Yeah.
It's not great. Yeah. But anyway,
But back to 2023, I don't know that you have the specific numbers, but you can just kind of guesstimate how many. I don't know how you break it up into different buckets, but how many deals did you end up brokering versus buying and flipping versus wholesaling / assigning in 2023?
I don't know if we have. I don't think we
I mean,
have
what
those
we've been
metrics.
doing, we just we finish a deal and we put it in our spreadsheet. So actually, we haven't counted like
Got it. You
what's the
haven't done
ratio
forensically.
But the first year when we got together, we did like I don't know, like 300,000 or something like that
Yeah.
in profit.
Nice.
And then the next year, the last year, we did better than that.
Awesome.
I
Good.
think we had 6 flips in 23. I think we did 6
Nice.
flips.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually, every other month of doing an actual flip. I mean, it takes work, takes time. What's the average time frame on your flips though?
We try to do a 2-month construction period and then a 1-month sale period. Now we can't really control that sell.
Sure.
But we do stage the properties, to make sure we can.
Oh, you do?
physically
Will you
stage them.
Yeah, we have a staging company that comes in
Yeah,
and
we stage
stages.
them all.
Got it.
Yeah.
What does that typically run you from the staging company? What are you staging?
We stage, just the main areas: kitchen, living room, 1 bathroom, master bedroom. Other bedrooms we won't really touch. Utility rooms, garages don't.
Just so they get an impression when they walk in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key. Yeah.
We want to walk in and say, "I can live here."
How much is that costing you? Curious.
We're anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000, somewhere in that range.
And that's like a month. That's like a month hold on, or like from the day you put it on the market to the day you put it under contract. You have it out for a month, like that
Yeah,
furniture.
it's
there?
a 90-day window. She keeps us.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90-day window they have before they can extend it or they need to come in.
Okay, so you get 90 days for $5,000.
Yeah, correct.
Like
Max
Last
high
week
end.
we paid 3,700.
Yeah, 3,700 on that one.
Okay.
Correct.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
that's not
good.
bad.
It's not bad. And just renting. You're just renting the furniture. You don't purchase and
Yeah, no.
reuse it.
Yeah,
Got it.
just
That's her furniture.
Yeah, they have the option to buy it if they
Of
want.
course.
They can
Yeah.
buy anything, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
we just
but-
rent it out.
I mean, we found that it really helps because then the end buyer, when it comes, he can visualize what can he have in their house, and I think it has helped us on the selling
yeah,
side.
it definitely does.
Yeah. No, I could get that, especially when you're doing the flip, because it's your money. It's a little different than when you're brokering a property. I'm sure you give clients the options to do that, but it's their money. So
we talk through it a lot with our
Yeah.
clients, and it depends on the asset we're selling. Are we selling the $10 million home, or are we selling the $100,000 condo
Correct,
here,
yeah.
right? And it's like, where do we think this makes sense? Usually for us, my recommendation is under the 1.5 million mark. We usually typically say don't do it. Like, it depends on the property again. So there's exceptions to all these rules, but most cases it's not. We'll virtually stage it. We'll do all these other things. We'll do videos and all that stuff. But the staging, we typically tell them, like, is it really worth that much money to do that?
Now is that a cost that as a broker you would cover, or is that something you
It
negotiate
would
with
be
the
out of
seller?
their pocket.
Out of their pocket.
It's
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
their choice. Yeah.
your virtual staging was great, like with the flip that we did that Larry found for us and then ended up selling as well when we broke the comp in that neighborhood. On the MLS, the photos that are on there and the videos that's on there, it's virtually staged.
Yeah.
So they can at least see it and see the concept, and it gets them interested. Now, of course, when they go see the property, it's empty,
Sure.
but if they need to have their phone out and take a look and see the dining room table or whatever, what that might look like,
Visualization, it's there.
well, it's probably enough. Maybe at least that's.
I think it depends on the reno too. Like, that reno that you guys did, those floors were epic. So, like, keep them.
You kind of want to see the floors, right? Yeah,
Keep 'em
yeah.
up.
We spent
Yeah.
decent money on the floors. So,
Yeah.
So lead gen 2024. What are you tweaking in your processes for the data and the lead gen? And are you just adding in more data on different lists and?
No, essentially trying to be first to market. That's our main
That's it.
kind
That's
of
the
thing
goal.
that changed. And also having the process of doing 3 attempts right away, 72 hours, like call, text, send text messages and voice messages. And then after that, they kind of get all together into a multi-dialer.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we cannot reach, then somebody's like in a big, every month we keep adding new ones, and then they just getting called. And then that goes through a process. And after that's done, then we just decide, okay, should we just dump it or send direct mail or whatever?
Yeah.
How do you not get in trouble on two things? On the do not call list, like how do you guys handle that? and maybe this is an offline conversation.
Now
that I'm thinking about
it's
it.
a great area.
And then what I've also heard, so we'll just skip over that. And then what I've also heard from another wholesaler, he was struggling with, because he used to do all his business different part of the country, Cleveland and other markets like that. He was doing most of his business without having to physically go to the property always, and also via text. So he was blasting like 20, 30, 40, 50,000 text messages per day and getting responses. Is that something you guys have looked at? Like now it sounds like, based on what he was telling me, is like that's like a good way to like just lose your shirt by getting fined, sued, whatever.
We started sending like text blast, but we've seen like that process getting more and more trouble with the new guidelines.
You know what else I noticed? Actually, we had to do this for our cold caller team. Like our numbers kept showing up as spam, right? So you have to do all this registration for your numbers. I'm sure you guys have had a number of dumb conversations about like how to solve for that, right? And like we're dumping numbers, and you're probably some of the guys we're passing numbers too. Like we're dumping a number, you're picking up our number, we're picking up your old number, and everybody's just passing around spam numbers, right? So it's like 30 numbers later, finally find a clean one, register it, okay, right? And my guys alternate numbers like probably every 2 hours.
Oh, really?
Right, yeah.
Okay, wow.
Just to try to keep that, because there's a whole different level of like depending on what, I don't know what it is, like if it's Verizon, what carrier, that's the word I'm looking for. Depending on the carrier, they signal spam different ways, right?
Yep.
And so it might be, oh, you're really you're dialing outbound a lot. You're not having two-way conversations. So how many calls before Verizon considers that spam?
A spam call.
So something that helped us a lot is like the main marketing is single dialing for us, which is
that's what I do. I do all single dialing.
Yeah.
So
it's click to call.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's smartphone. So that allows us not to get flagged right away.
Same.
And then for the power dialer, you get flagged, but that's like a smaller portion of what we focus
Got
on.
it. Oh, so the power dialer isn't as much as like just the core, like the core lists, the hot
That's just
list.
kind of like for the follow-ups more than anything.
Yeah.
The ones that we haven't reached, but most of our leads come from the single dial.
Got it. That's interesting. So see all these nuances, like what you guys are describing is at a high level, people don't appreciate this, I don't think, like how much little nuance there is in all of this.
Yeah.
From the mailing to the lists, where to get them, how to get them, right? These things
it's
are super, super complicated.
Single dial and single text messages. We don't blast either.
Same.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to be me or one of my people sending that message physically.
Yeah,
there might be a template, but
we try to be as granular as possible, because every record we make sure like we have the correct number, which one is not the wrong number, which one is DNC. So we kind of know exactly what's happening with each
it's
person.
the engineer vibe.
Yeah, it is. He just went through. I was at the office yesterday, going through the whole sequencing that we did for this year and how we're going to bring leads in. And I mean, it's a solid setup. So I'm really excited. He's really excited about it too. We're thinking we're going to be able to have at least close 3 to 5 deals a month coming in.
I mean, we've kind of started doing that.
We're doing that now.
So
now he just dialed it in.
And we start seeing results now. Like we're seeing a lot of hot leads coming up now with that strategy.
So we're getting a lot.
Awesome. Good.
So 2024, it's going to be, to answer your question, it's going to be a capital building year more so than anything, I think, just because it's election year. It's kind of softened a little. You had mentioned something on the data as well. So we spoke about it. If we could just wholesale and bring some cash in, capital, so that way we can be in a position to purchase something big, or elevate.
I still believe if you crack the code, like right now, I'm not sure. I haven't like got the temperature from other brokers in the area that I respect, but we've, based on all the hard work like you guys did last year to try to figure out this system, I've been doing the same thing, and like I said, we're dialing up the amount of listings we've taken in just the past 30 days because of a few very core things that we've done, that we've worked on, and it takes 6 months to see that and feel that sometimes.
Yep.
So I think you just, if you work at it and you build that system properly, you'll get it done. Even in arguably one of the hardest markets to do wholesaling in my opinion, is South Florida. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I know you appreciate that.
I mean, yeah. You can go like Ohio or Michigan. You can pick up a property, $40,000, $50,000, $30,000. I mean, my brother just did one in Wisconsin. He picked up for, he sold for 40. He picked it up for 20. We're not in that market. Our down payments are $200,000-$300,000. Yeah, it's a completely different market.
And so I asked the last wholesaler that we interviewed who was like doing like 20 wholesale deals a month. Like this guy, the real deal, arguably, right? 20 wholesale deals a month. He's picking off the ones he likes, you know, and he's got markets all over the country. And I asked him like how, like, and he tried to do it down here. He gave it a small attempt. Nope, not doing it. Not the same thing. Very, very different. And he kind of concluded that the best markets to do it in for his model is those really low price points.
Yeah.
Right. So his 20 deals a month might be 200,000 or less.
Yeah.
Whereas your like 5 might be 400 to millions.
Well,
Right.
and that's the other thing. Every assignment here is a lot bigger. Like our average is about 25, 35
Nice.
per assignment. I know in those ones you make 5, 10 grand.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more.
It's just volume.
Yeah.
He's just his is a volume business. The other guy, you know, when you're doing that.
When you're doing a volume business, though, you can feel it every day. Like, got another one under contract, got another one under
Yes.
contract. But when you're doing like a not so volume business, it's like 30
It's been like
days.
it's been 2 weeks since we got a
What's going on
contract.
with you?
Let's go,
Yeah.
chop chop.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Start to have small panic attacks. Yeah.
That's great. And yeah, anything else that you didn't share with us that you think is, you know, would be helpful to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, you know, we have all these great numbers, and you know, our you know, seller financed, you know, good positions. We made good money on it. Our ocean property, but we had some losses too. You know, we've taken, you know, some hits. You know, I did a property that went ahead and flipped it, and it was an older property. Learned a hard lesson on it. Ended up losing about $24,000 on that deal.
What was the
You know?
mistake? I mean, they always say the mistake is that what you buy it at. You know, you got to buy right. But how did you kind of miss the mark on that one?
So what happened was, you know, we purchased at a really good price. That we had about 100K spread on it or so, or maybe 125K.
So you thought you bought it right, yeah?
Thought we bought it right. It wasn't until we were at title and they went to close it that there was a COVID, you know, the forbearance. So it had a second on it for a hefty amount. So there's still, the number was still there, but that profit of like say 50 or so after construction and everything was reduced to about half. And then things went wrong in the construction. Like the roof had to get replaced that was not prepared. The septic tank was an issue.
Wow.
Termites, you know, like there was just other factors in there that I realized.
You didn't
know,
have
like,
enough buffer in the end. Yeah.
1927 home with a septic tank is probably not something we should be picking up. You know, we you know, so we
There's
did lose
just
on that.
too many unknowns.
Yeah, too many variables in there.
Yep.
And I guess probably if you ran into a similar situation where the seller didn't disclose that they had a second, and I'm not saying they lied, but maybe they just didn't know or remember. Happens a lot.
she
We
had
do a
no
lot
idea.
of title deals. Can't tell you how many people don't remember that they had a HELOC on the property, you know, from years ago that is sitting out there, and maybe there's just automatic minimum payments coming out of their checking account. They don't think it's on their property.
Correct.
Or some type of second mortgage or whatever it is. I don't know why they don't remember it, but they don't. But you probably, when you found out about it in the future, if you found out about this, you probably would go to try to renegotiate the deal, right? The
Yeah.
price or
Absolutely.
pass,
Yeah,
right?
and she was out of state. It was an abandoned house.
Yeah.
You know, so it
You probably
you
could have
know.
retraded her for another 25,000 or 30,000
correct
or something.
Could have
that
went
Jackson?
around. Yeah, there was Jackson. Yeah, Jackson. That one
Yeah.
hurt. You know, the lender made money. I want to be very clear about that.
course.
Lender got paid back.
Brokers
okay?
make money. Lenders make money.
Everyone makes money, but you
Everything
on that
got
one,
paid.
yeah.
Everything worked out.
Right.
You know, we lost on that.
There's a reason why I
lost.
flipped.
Yeah, I lost. Yeah, I lost on that. Yeah.
Not there yet.
Jose doesn't seem very concerned about this one. He's staying quiet.
Yeah, I lost on that one. You know,
But we, Boca Town, we kind of, that was a wash.
that was a wash. The agent made the most money on that one.
Yeah, the agent made money.
We were-
And again, what happened on that property? That was
We-
a flip. You
it was
bought
like
it
a wholesale. That one was
Yeah,
a
it was
wholesale.
wholesale.
We didn't like so wholesale. We essentially bought it and we just painted, put it back in the market pretty quick.
okay.
It was not like full remodel or anything like that. We were waiting to get a specific number. We didn't. Went a little bit lower, and then
AC went bad. We had to replace that AC unit.
AC,
Yep.
and then also a neighbor called that there were some people working there. I guess they said like, hey, they need to put
Got
all
hit
kind
with
of
code.
permits.
Cape Code, yeah.
Oh
So-
no!
so-
There's a
we-
dumpster out front. What are they doing? You know.
Oh, no.
County
And it
came.
was something quick. We were not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
But that delayed the process. And then after everything was said and done, we ended up, it was a wash
It was
because
a wash.
they hold
Yeah, it was-
$5,000. At the end, like we were going to make like $5,000. It was that
That was it.
And then
5K
they
spread.
hold it because we took too long, and then we didn't.
And then we
make
let you.
it.
So you lost the 5,000. Yeah,
That's it.
then it's a
That was
loss.
it. I was like, well,
It's gone. You know.
Better than losing 27,000,
Yeah,
right?
There's a notch on the belt, and that was it. That's all it was. Yeah.
One on the board. That's it. Yeah.
agent was happy.
Yeah. And he, it's funny. Our agent said, "I really like that. We need to do more of those." You know, that's
like,
what he
nope.
said. We're like, no, we're not doing more of those.
He's rubbing it in your face too. Yeah, that's God. Yeah, well, these are the learning lessons. You know, in any business you learn from your mistakes, and then you don't make the same mistake again. And hopefully, in time, you make less and less and less mistakes because you get into that situation again, and you're like, wait. Oh, that reminds me of that situation I had 6 years ago.
Correct.
I'm not doing
that
this
again.
time.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
That hurt. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of anyone can do this business. This is open to anybody. You know, you just got to take the action and do it. You got to put it out there,
That's
and you
the
got to
key.
take it.
I think and I work with a lot of flippers. And I work with flippers that are good, and I work with flippers, in my opinion, that are bad at all points of execution. Purchase price, actual renovation work, you name it. And I would say, I think where most of these investors miss the mark, and I think as an engineer, we've been trained how to like just be allergic to what I'm about to say. They just make fact out of something that's absolutely an assumption,
you're
right?
right. Yeah.
Like, it's like, this is going to be worth X for whatever reason they've concluded, and it's just like not a statistically like valid point, right? Or there's not enough, or they take one data point and they say, well, that guy sold for that. We can buy this for this, and we're definitely going to sell for that. It's like, dude, that happened once, and it was a real rare thing. Like, how can you like bet the house on that? Yeah. So there's just like a level of assumption that people in general, I think it's a human nature thing to just be like, you hear something, you repeat it, now all of a sudden you think it's fact. He repeats it to somebody else. Now everybody's saying it, and it's a factual thing. You have to be really, really careful in a deal. And then to your point, like, unknowns as they stack up, the probability of things going wrong is like much higher,
extremely.
right? So you just gotta like manage that level of unknown, and how you do that is you don't assume shit, right? Like, you just don't, and you acknowledge when there's an assumption and when it's not. And so many people, even when we're underwriting deals, it's like, oh, the landscaper is going to charge $150 a month. No, the landscaper is actually going to charge $500 when you actually have to close the deal and got him out there. No, get him out there, quote the deal, right? Or there's a question mark on this electric system. Bring your electrician out there. Let's like knock this out. It's actually a $10,000 job, not a $2,000 job, because he's got to ask FPL to pull the pole and whatever, right? It's like all these assumptions that are made that just like really beat people up.
And that's like Jose was saying earlier. They take educated risk. The key word is educated. You got to educate yourself.
It's easy.
There's always a risk that you're never going to have zero risk.
I think it's not easy. I think it's a very simple job. It's very like there's nothing complex to it. Like, it's very simple, but it requires hard work.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to get, enthusiastically delusional, for a flipper to do that with.
All the time. And sometimes, here's the thing, like, I don't own anything in downtown Delray, and we've been working actively buying stuff since 2010. I could have bought anything from 2010 to 2020, arguably, in downtown Delray, and been a genius, right? But the problem is it was always expensive to buy in downtown Delray at that mark-to-market moment, right?
Yes.
So it's like, so it was always expensive. So everybody's like, well, why didn't you buy in 2015 there? Well, because it was expensive then, right? The rents didn't work. So I didn't do a deal there. So I ended up doing deals in West Palm and all these other places.
It's the same for us.
Yeah, right.
Delray, like, we've looked into that market for so long, we haven't picked up.
And you want to do it. You want to do it 'cause it's cool.
It's just
It's
expensive.
cool. Yeah.
But on paper, it doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Because it's all just this artificial demand of people speculating, but also coming from whatever, the Northeast or California, wherever they come from, and they just want to live in one of America's top 10 smallest cities, and it's Delray. Like, they're gonna pay way over market price for that.
If we had a crystal ball, we could see the future from 15 to 20 or 21. We'd buy, but numbers don't make sense here where we're at.
They don't.
It's just not.
I also think you have to know who you're competing with in the marketplace. You have to understand that a little bit better. I've learned this after being a broker here for 15 years. It's like, when you're going to build up a ground up construction deal and you're working on sourcing a property that you're going to knock down, as an example, you have to understand that they're in Boca specifically. There's guys that are doing this. They're pumping out 20 of these specs a year. And guess what? The land that they're building on, they bought 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And the land that they're buying today, the guy you're competing with who's paying $700 to $2 million per parcel, he's not buying that to build on it tomorrow. He won't make any money doing that. That's 10 years out. He's got 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is, before he actually gets to that parcel. And by the time he gets there, it's going to be, oh, that was smart. You know what I mean? But that
genius.
Was, that was 10 years ago. And that's the game they play, because they already own 20, 30 parcels that are in the queue to build on before they got there. And they've been doing this for 20 years. So like, that's just a quick example of, I don't think most people even know that exists.
Right.
But like, you're competing with a whole bunch of different guys in this investment market, in this flip world. So I think what I say a lot is, the harder it is, the better, because that eliminates a lot of the nonsense. It eliminates the amateur that's just going to go bid because he's delusional on a price and makes it ridiculous, or the amateur who can't find that data point or that specific seller because he didn't pull the list fast enough, where to pull a list, yada, yada, right? Yeah. Whatever it is, get them on the phone, go meet them in person, all those things. So like, you stack those like really hard things, and then it becomes like, oh, here's our moat around our business.
Said a different way, those are all different points of failure that you've gotten over the hump of each of those points of failure and figured it out. And when you stack it, someone new in the game has to get through 20 points of failure to get where you are.
Correct.
Plus a lot of hard work and a lot of 18-hour days. So
a lot of grit involved. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's no clear, it's not like, oh, if I do this, we're definitely going to have that outcome either, right? It's like, oh, we got to try that. And if we try that, it didn't work. But if we try that with this, then it works. That type of stuff, right?
It's a constant flow of having problems and not freaking out, and just solving one problem at a time, getting through it. And then you solve enough problems, you'll get to the finish line.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just being consistent at that. Like, I've put on blinders on like, this is what I'm doing, this brokerage thing. This is how we're marketing. We're going to do this all day, every day for the next however many years until this thing is just like perfect, right?
Yes.
Which will never be. But
we get bombarded with a lot of individuals, newer people from local, because we still go to meetups and networking groups that they want to learn. They hey, can you help? Can you help? And we have to say, no, we really can't. If you want to work with us, because we don't have the time, because we have to put on those blinders and we have to stay focused on our systems, strategies, and what we're doing, or else it'll fall apart. But if you want to work with us, bring a deal and we'll work with you. If it's not a deal, we'll tell you it's not a deal. You know what I mean? But if someone's able to bring a deal to us, and then we can kind of educate and walk them through the process to show it's a win-win. They'll win, we win, and it's a good way to give back.
There's one thing I meant to ask you guys earlier, and then we can, I won't drag this on. I was curious how you found, because there's one piece, it's like source the deal. The other piece is, who do you sell it to, right? So how did you find your buyer list? Do you send out emails? Do you work with, you guys have been around the meetup, so you probably know all these other guys that have like these massive email lists that kind of help you source the buyer if you have a good deal. How do you find the buyer? Do you have like just a select few people you like to work with? What does that look like?
Yeah, so
we have two lists. Yep.
Yeah, we have a disposition process where we separate them. The VIP buyers, which are the ones that we already have built some relationships. We have done deals before. We have vetted them before, because they call it, hey, I'm a buyer. I say, okay, can you show me what have you done before? We go into those hard questions with them to make sure they're real. They're not wholesalers trying to just, get
Flip
you in a contract.
Exactly.
They're going to
wholesale.
They're going to say,
exactly,
what happens, it has happened before. They say I'm a buyer. They look at the deal with us, and they don't know how to close it. And then they drag us through, and then they mess up our deal. So we're gonna make sure
that's highly risky. That's why this is super important. You got to have good buyers, right?
So we make sure we have solid buyers that we send them the deals before everybody else, 72 hours before everybody else. Typically, that's where they go. We get them on the contract. We send the emails and we call them, say to make sure they got the email. And if that doesn't happen, we cannot get into an agreement with them. Then it goes to a bigger buyer list.
Bigger buyer's pool.
As wholesalers, has all kind of people.
Yeah, but a majority we get from networking, talking with other individuals. We find out who the buyers are, and if someone says they're a buyer, the real cash buyer, we vetted them, we spoke with them. They go into that email campaign, for, hey, you want our emails? We call, check that they got our emails, and then when you do a deal with us, you're that VIP
then you can make
you
it maybe
get
to the next
priority,
list, the priority list.
Exactly.
The pre-vetted list, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Correct. So, and that's a constant. It's a constant build. And there's other ways you can, like for PropStream, you can go on there and, reverse data and find out who the cash buyers are in the area. There's other ways, but.
Do you assign one of your assistants to being a disposition person that does that, or do you guys just do that personally right now at this point? Because maybe you don't have a huge deal volume right now, but as you pick up your deal volume, if you're getting to 5, 6, 7, 8 deals a month, then you're going to need someone who's focused on disposition, right?
I give credit to his wife. She's
she's
our dispo
she's
girl
expert.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
us calling buyers because she doesn't have to deal with people like, fucking you out. Like,
Yeah.
They're a lot nicer when they're trying to get your deal. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
She's got a good
They're
voice
calling her.
too.
Too.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're begging her. Yeah.
They already know her, so it's
Yeah.
like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I got these deals.
Yeah.
Easy. So
Yeah.
That's easy.
She calls
Yeah.
them.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, she's dispo. It will get calls directly too.
Yeah, of
hey
course.
guys, I saw the email. Send it over. Like, hey, we need to talk.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good stuff. Good
That
stuff.
works.
So, if there's any other questions that you have for
No, I
these
think
awesome guys,
good.
So for those that are out there that are watching this, let's say they run across a property that is interesting to them, or maybe they want to partner in on something. The best way, we're going to put your website on the description below the video, so that'll be on there. Is that the best way to get in contact with you? Is call the number on the website?
Yeah.
Instagram.
Social media.
Instagram. Why don't you give one or two of your social media sites? What's best?
Yeah, it's the HB guy at
No,
Instagram.
The home buying guys.
We had to
That's
change it. So
Okay, yeah.
we
We
had
had so a long story short, on this one we had our domain to be those home buying guys because their home buying guys was taken already, but somebody from Texas had registered
federal trademark on it.
Yeah.
home buying guys.
Yeah, I was going to say
before.
trademark issue.
They called us. They said, "Hey, you guys can have that."
Yeah.
So
Oh, gosh.
So we had to change. It was
we'll just
amicable.
change
Yeah.
it. So our domain is DHB guys, but our
Okay.
Instagram handle is the home buying guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the home buying guys on Instagram
Yeah. At the home buying guys. Yep.
Perfect at the home buying guys.
Or follow
Good.
Tito
Tito _ Esteves
Esteves official.
Yep.
Tito _ Esteves, ESTEVES. Right, we'll put that
can
on there.
throw it in the description
Yeah,
for you
we'll
guys.
throw it all on
Yeah,
there.
we'll
So
get it all.
good stuff. It's been great, guys. Thank
Yeah,
you, thank you
absolutely.
for
Thanks for the time, man. Learned a lot. Appreciate
learning a
that.
lot from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll connect
So-
in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, and we'll make sure to go out there and not do what you're doing. That sounds like a lot of work, man. I got my own job.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
No, but happy for you. So, a lot of respect for what you've been doing and how you've grown so quickly in just a few short years. So great job.
Thank
Keep
you.
it
Yeah,
up.
thanks for having us on. We appreciate it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe.